Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Sasheen. Welcome to Women in Transition. So, it's been a whirlwind few days in my world, but I'm back and I wanted to talk to you about risk. Gen Xers are inherently risk averse, which might sound weird, but we don't necessarily go looking for ways to risk things. We're the generation that works before it was a thing to hustle. We were working multiple jobs anyway because we like cushion and padding in our bank accounts. We stack, especially Black women, we stack degrees partially to mitigate the risk that we won't be qualified to do something should something else close down. So should one path not be available to us. And so in some ways, if you're in your 40s, 50s, you are risk averse in that you like to have a plan for every possible contingency. Even if the contingencies are far-fetched, it makes you feel comfortable. It gives you a sense of stability and security in a world and a country that is not always stable and secure for us. So I want to talk to you, though, about the fact that sometimes we have to take the risks that are in front of us, even if we're not prepared for that risk, okay? There's a lot happening in the world, and so I'm not going to make this political. This today, I really am talking about moving on and starting over. Like I said, there are certain risks we think we can afford to take, and we're prepared for those, right? Like I said, we pad our bank accounts. We have multiple degrees. Sorry, my hair is doing funky. Y'all know it's the channel. My hair's all slicked down because it's in braids in the back. You just can't see it. We get certifications, degrees. We buy cars. We buy assets so that we can see our money. We can see, and because we know that in certain times we could sell those assets, right? Like we learned from the things from the people around us. We've learned a lot of valuable lessons about how to manage risk. Okay, but sometimes we are confronted with the risk that we're scared to take because we're not necessarily prepared to take it, but we can't afford to not take it, right? And you've probably had these moments in your life where you have been confronted with an option, a possibility, a path that you were not prepared for. You didn't see it coming, so your contingency plans don't exist for this contingency. And yet you understand intuitively that you have to take this path. You don't know how it's going to pan out. You don't have all the pieces in place. You don't know if your padding is going to stretch far enough until you figure it out. You don't know anything except your gut is telling you it's the path that you need to walk on at this time. And so you take it. And it has probably led you to places you never imagined that you might go, right? Places and people and circumstances, do that, that you just never imagined might be open to you. Now, sometimes that might have led you to hard places that you had to go through to get out the other side. But usually in hindsight, what we figure out is, okay, this was hard because I didn't quite know what I was doing because this was not the contingency that I was prepared for. But look at where I am now, right? And if you were to ask yourself in that situation, well, why did you take the risk when you didn't have all the answers about how it might turn out? All you could say is because my gut told me that I needed to go that direction. And I'll give you a story from my own life where I wasn't sure but if I was going to get my PhD because I didn't hear anything. I applied to 2 schools to get my PhD. I was rejected from the first one, fine. And then I applied to the second one. And I got the letter saying, you've been admitted, but deferred because we don't have funding. So in case you don't know, a lot of PhD programs try to fund their cohorts. They tend to be pretty small cohorts as much as they can because student loans, y'all, and you spend 4 years getting this degree and it's not cheap. It is not cheap. And I went to a state school, not a private school. It is not cheap. Anyway, so I got the letter and I was like, okay, well, it just means that this is not the path I'm supposed to walk right now. So be it, right? But on a whim, something just said to me, you need to walk this path. I didn't know how I was going to walk this path. I had a conditional admission. So I was admitted, but they didn't have any funding. So they're like, if we can't get your funding this year, then we'll admit you next year when we can get you funding. I didn't know all the things that were happening behind the scenes. But I just decided that I would figure it out because something in me felt like I don't have any contingencies for this path. Like I applied on a whim. Don't hate me. But again, Black women stack education like people stack dominoes, right? Like we know how to get it. We know how to get educated. And I wanted to go. I wanted the experience of being a full-time college student, which I had never been. I had 2 degrees. I'd always worked and gone to school. So anyway, I decide that I'm going to go, right? It's the craziest thing. Even now, it is the craziest thing in the world to just decide, okay, well, I'm going to figure out how to make it work. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go figure out how to make it work. So luckily I wasn't going too far at the time. But I snagged a couple of good friends at the time, and we drove to the place where my PhD was going to be granted, which was Columbia, Missouri. I went to the University of Missouri, and we drove. We just decided to go down for a visit because I was admitted. I just didn't have the money, and I didn't know what that meant, really. I just knew it meant that I was supposed to go, but I wasn't going, and that didn't make sense in my brain. So we just decided to go down for a visit, and I wanted to walk the campus. I wanted to feel what it felt like to be in this small town, to see if I'd even like it there, you know? So we go, and we are on this campus. We walk through these archways onto the quad, and there are the columns, which are just iconic. These iconic columns where the old campus stands, and so there was just something about being there. So there was just something magical about walking through that tunnel out into the quad. And so as we were circling the quad, there are old, beautiful old buildings around the quad because it's old campus. New campus is further back. And the department that I would have been part of was on old campus. And just so happened we came in the right entrance, and we ended up right by the building where I would eventually come to call home for the next 4 years. Though I didn't know that at the time. And we went in and we met the secretary, and she introduced us, and she said, I think the director of the graduate program is in his office. You should at least go up and say hi. So we did. We climbed these creaky, rickety stairs because there was an elevator. But let me tell you something, old, beautiful buildings don't always have the most efficient elevators, especially if they had to be retrofitted because they didn't exist at the time. I spent a lot of time walking down the stairs. So we get to the second floor, and I knock on the door and hear this voice say, come in, and we peek in, and there's this man in shorts and a t-shirt kind of hanging out in his office. I introduce myself to him, and he says, I was just going to call you. And I was like, well, here I am. What do you need? And he says, because we got full funding. We got full funding. Welcome to Mizzou. And I just can't even, I still feel that in my gut, like right now, that risk that I was willing to take. I was coming because I didn't have a contingency plan. I applied to grad school assuming that I'd get in. That was the plan. But when the plan didn't work out, I had to decide there was a risk that I could take that was very acceptable. I could have just gotten another job. I'm really good at working. I've been working since I was 14. I could have just gotten another job and played it safe and stayed in another cubicle. And then there was the risk I couldn't afford not to take, which was the possibility of a different life. I chose the possibility of a different life with no idea how I was supposed to fund it, fix it, get there, whatever the case may be. So I started walking the path, assuming that the tiles would come up beneath my feet, right? Because that's what it really was. And that's what I want you to think about today. There is a risk that it's easy to take because you're prepared for it. And then there is the risk that you can't afford not to take, but you are so not prepared for it. And it used to be that we believed that the universe would come in and figure it out for us because the universe felt fair and just and balanced. Well, let me tell you something. As a Black woman in America, the universe has never been fair and just and balanced. But the universe has still put the next step in front of me every single time that I've had to walk a path that I wasn't sure about. And Sometimes that meant I had to dip a few curves and go around a few trees to make sure I didn't hit anything, but the steps kept coming until I got to the destination that I was going for. That one trip down to the school that I ended up spending 4 years at was the first of many moments where the universe said, step one. The second step was finding an apartment on a whim because another set of friends decided to come hang out with me while I went apartment hunting in my new city. And I just so happened to meet a great landlord who just so happened to have this apartment that he'd been holding for somebody else, decided he liked me and my friends better. Boom, I have this great place to live for 4 years. Next step, that apartment also flooded 3 times. Talk about that another time. But those steps were risky. I left my whole life behind when I decided to leave and go to graduate school. I left the city that I knew. I left my family and friends. I left jobs. I left a few jobs behind. I left financial security because I went from making money to living on a stipend. And let me tell you something, those are some lean years. But the steps kept coming because what I really valued in my life, I have always valued the ability to eat freely of the table of life. Eat freely from it and however I want to. Not how I'm supposed to, not how I have to, but how I want to. And I think if you are of a woman of a certain age like I am, you have probably spent a lot of your life managing your risks so that you don't get adversely impacted by it. But sometimes you got to figure out that the risk that you need to take is the very one that you're just like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? If I say yes to this, I could lose everything. I've lost everything. I gave it away a couple of times. I didn't lose it. I just said, can somebody come get this stuff? Because I got something else to do. It is a time in our life, the transitionary years, where we, those of us living in this life, have to ask ourselves, what is the risk that I am unwilling to take right now because I am afraid of losing everything that is comfortable to me? But it is the risk that if I took it would bring me what I actually really want. It isn't an easy answer, but it is the only question worth asking when the world is kind of going topsy-turvy. Because when things settle down and shake out, as they always do, I didn't say they would shake out the way that you want them to, or that they will look like you want it to. But when things settle down and shake out, as they always do, the question will be answered either for you or by you. You have to decide which one of those things that you want. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this message, hit like, subscribe, and share. Much appreciated. If you haven't picked up your copy of The Anxiety Solution and you are struggling with trying to stop the noise and the chatter so that you can assess your risk, so that you can decide on what to do, so that you can calm your storm, pick up The Anxiety Solution. It's available in the link in my description on the page notes, and allow yourself your steps to catch up to you that may help you find your path. All right. Thank you again for tuning in. Please comment below if this message resonated with you, and I will talk to you again very soon. Take care.